What does it mean to live life to the fullest, train to your potential, and perform at your best?
Leave nothing on the table. That's a non-negotiable, is that I strive to be better every day. Because if I'm not on top of my game, how's anybody else going to follow me down the road?
Keep demanding more of yourself to live up to that potential and to stay hungry.
Training is progress. You know, when I look at the word training, I think of steps, baby steps to get somewhere that you want to be. And that is basically your life journey.
It's a mindset in itself, man. It's like, it's not just about, I know that for you, a lot of that's about the physical, but we're constantly in training, whether it's growing our skill sets, whether it's growing our physical bodies, whether it's growing our relationships, whatever. And all of that's a training ground. And that kind of goes back to the mindset that we just talked about.
You underestimate yourself and you don't even start. But then once you start, you often surpass what you thought you could do.
Perform at your best, mate. That's sort of what life is all about. You know, I want to have the knowledge, I want to have the fitness, the health, the ambition and drive that no matter what comes along, when that next phone call comes, I can just say yes. I don't have to worry. Just go and do it.
Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome to this episode of the Live, Train, Perform podcast. I'm your host, Sean Kober. Joining me for my Client Corner series is my man, Damian Gilbert, who is a friend, a colleague, was an intern for me at Tiger Muay Thai, and is one of my clients. This is part 2 of a great conversation that I had with him, discussing the many tools and principles that we've implemented in his life to allow him to be better at life. Let's get this episode underway.
Keep your mind clear. Keep your mind out. Don't let your mind drown in that shit. Because I could have gone back to my old days and just drink it up, get on some fucking bullshit app and just start swiping and just fill that void with unnecessary shit that I didn't need to, you know? And it just was back on this vicious cycle of not being accountable for my actions, which is, again, when I reach out to you, I knew it was going to be cut and dry, man. It's like, hey, you're fucking up here. Do this. That's the shit I like. You know, some people may not like that, but if you put your ego aside, man, and you give it a shot, you don't turn into a robot. You know, I'm a very emotional being. I'm still me. I'm just me taking care of me before I take care of anybody else. You know?
Yeah, that's powerful, man. A couple of things that I want to unpack there. So you mentioned earlier that you go for a run. I remember talking to you, what was it, about maybe 6 months ago? I was actually on my road trip around Thailand. Yeah. I was driving around Thailand and I had a call with you and I was like walking down the street, man, on a phone call with you. And I was like, hey bro, how's it going? Yeah, man, good. But, you know, I'm seeing some, you know, I want to help other people around me because people are asking me like, dude, you seem like you're in a good place. You seem like you're much better. You know, what are you doing? Oh, I'm working with this coach, blah, blah, blah. Yep. You know, and then you would tell, like they would ask you questions and you would tell them what you were doing and you'd give them recommendations and then they wouldn't fucking do it. And you're like, how do I get these people to follow this stuff? And I was like, dude, you just got to be the example, man. Like, don't tell people what to do. Fucking show them what to do, you know? And I said, as you said, I said to you, I was like, you know, something you can do is, you know, hey, you tell people, hey, I'm not using my phone for the first hour of the day. And I'm like, what are you doing in the first hour of the day? Oh, I get up, I go for a run, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, all right, cool. Make sure that when you get up and you go for a run, you fucking put your phone on the kitchen table where everyone can see it, and then you fuck off for an hour and you come back and people are like, yeah, what's going on there? And then they see it. They see that you're actually doing it rather than just fucking being told, man. That shit's powerful, bro.
It happened with my mom, you know, and my dad as well while he was still here. So it was, they asked me, like, they're a little concerned. You know, not everybody wakes up at 4 fucking a.m. or 5 a.m. It's like, I'm going to run. And the reason why I run, too, is because it's a mind fuck, man. It sucks. I hate it. But I love the mental aspect of it. It's a challenge. And obviously, if my body hurts, or my knees hurt, or my back, I'm not going for a run. I'm not an idiot. I would have before. But
I'll just push through this.
Right. Exactly. But like you've said, hey, man, you need to rest, dude. You need to sleep. Your sleep needs to be good. So I left my phone, took my headphones, and that was it. And I get back, and Mom's like, hey, we messaged you to have coffee together, and we got my phones right there. She's like, oh, you didn't take your phone running? Usually I did, but now, you know, I just do everything on my watch. And she was like, you know what? So I think a week later, before I flew back to Afghanistan, I told her, I was like, hey, just leave your phone or let's go have coffee together. The conversation was different, man. Mm-hmm. You interact with people in a whole different way when you don't have that shit right there. When you wake up and you allow your body to wake up. And like you said, you do things for you, man. You brush your teeth, you do whatever, your tea, your coffee, your breakfast, whatever you need to do, whatever, right? And then you go
You're
back
gonna say
to
jack off then, won't you?
Yeah, I've been here a little too long, man.
Shit, shave, Jack.
And then you pick up your phone afterwards. You don't feel like you're rushing to do the things that you enjoy doing for yourself. You know what I mean? You're good. You're you. I'm nobody special, man. We're fucking humans, and I think we all go through a bunch of shit that wakes you up one day and say, you know what, I can't live like that. I can't do this to myself. I can't do this to those around me anymore. I don't want to be an influencer, but I know that if 2 or 3 people that hear my story, or 2 or 3 people that know what I've been about for real, you know, if that helps them, that's dope. Because that's what helped me, man. Because, you know, your deployment, your training, then you're working with all these athletes and all this. You giving me the opportunity to work at Tiger, man. That to me was great, because it also was like therapy for me. Because I go to Tiger and I'll be around people and I'll be training and I'll be tired and I'll be eating well. That, man. So what I tell people, man, I'm forever grateful for Sean for that shit, because I could have just been in Thailand fucking up. I was getting disability. I didn't need to work, but it was good to have that outlet. It was good. And then I got the opportunity to learn. And I realized, I was like, man, there's more to this than just a strong body, you know. In the
There's
military,
levels to this shit.
Yeah, exactly. In the military, it's, oh, you strong mind, strong body. That's all you need. No, man, you need to feel things, dude. It's good to feel shit. It's good to be vulnerable. It's good to talk to people. It's good to let your shit out. But don't be a victim either. You know what I mean? And everybody has bad days. So, like I said, that's what I tell everybody, you know. I work with Sean, and people are like, well, weren't you a coach? I'm like, dude, man, it's different, bro. And even a coach needs a coach, you know. Another coach needs a mentor. Your mentor needs a mentor. Nobody here knows it all. There's experiences that we've lived that are crazy, you know. And then there's somebody that probably has never been in war that has really cool experiences. You're like, fuck, I can learn from this dude, you know.
Yeah, man, absolutely. And dude, that's a great point. Like, you know, you mentioned the coaches development sessions that I run at Tiger. Yeah. You know, that was as much for me as it was for the other coaches. You know, initially I had some pushback from the coaches, because they're like, oh, this, because I had just recently become the head coach. I was fairly new there, and there was a lot of pushback because they're like, oh, this dude's just going to fucking tell us what we should be doing, what we need to do it right, and what we're doing wrong, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, that's your perspective, one. So it took me a little bit of time to build that trust, build that rapport. But then once I got that buy-in from the coaches, then they all fucking started like loving it and started enjoying coming to those coaches development sessions, and everyone had an input. And I was learning just as much from them as they were learning from me. And it was like a good, a circle of personal growth that we got together, and we had the opportunity to share things with each other every single week, man, where we're talking about the things that we were learning, the podcasts that we were listening to, you know, going through, you know, the courses that we were doing, in our own individual rights, and sharing those lessons, sharing those stories, and, you know, and just being around each other, man, in that positive environment. It was fucking really cool. Yeah, man. Wow. I never thought I was going to be able to do a handstand. Then Kat had us do that shit, and I was like, "Oh, look at that, dude!" Yeah, look at this. I'm on one hand now. What's happening? It was really good, man. I feel life is a beautiful thing, man. Even if you've been through war, if you haven't been through actual physical war, you've been through war somehow in your own path, you know. And putting that ego aside, man, and accepting that you have flaws, that's what helped me, man. That's why I started doing all this, you know, sleep, nutrition, discipline, time management, all these things. Because, and there's a lot of bad people, but there's more good people out there. So if you can be one good cunt, yes, be that person, man, you know. It opens up your eyes to know that even with you, you know, when we talk, and that was one point that I wanted to bring. I was like, man, I'm going to work with Sean, and I'm going to see if this motherfucker practices what he preaches, right? So, first weekend, you're like, hey, man, I'm fucking detoxing, no phone the whole week. And I'm like, God damn, it's real. So, then you implement those things, man, and they work. You know, it's not everybody's cup of tea. I get it. Some people need to be on their phone because of work or whatnot.
Then the Ferals in Thailand, Eddie and Brooke, Eddie and I never lost touch, man. Real cool dude. And he's also aware of what mental health brings and stuff. I like his outlook on a lot of shit. And again, it's a person that has probably not seen war, but has been through the ringer. He fights and he's doing Lethwig and, Muay Thai. And you could be like, fuck, dude, you're not going to tell me to stand up in front of another dude with almost nothing on my hands and going at it. So it's a different type of mental strength that you have to have and to continue to have a positive attitude, man. So I take from working together, I've grasped other people's experiences, and I'm like, man, I'm sure they have bad days too. What do they do with them?
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I think it was Epictetus or something. It was a Greek philosopher that said, it's not what happens to you that causes dramas, it's how you perceive it. I think that's powerful, man, because, as you said, we go through similar situations, we go through similar things, and, your mindset, your outlook is going to determine how you react to those things. Now, what I want to talk about is, obviously, I'm very sorry to hear that your dad passed, man, and we've been in contact since then. Kind of touching base and helping you deal with that, and just checking in to make sure that you're okay and you're doing the right thing and looking after yourself, because, as you said, man, you needed to be at your best so that you can be at your best for other people. And obviously it's fucking terrible news to hear something like that, have to fly back from Afghanistan back to the States, be with your family.
Man, yeah.
But as you said, man, like, if you weren't doing those things and you just, drowned your sorrows, got on the piss and, fucking started filling that void with other things, then you couldn't have been that rock that your family needed at that time. Can you talk about that? Some of the tools that you maintained. One, first of all, talk to me about like how that impacted you emotionally when you found out, then getting back to your, back home to your family environment and how they were dealing with it. And then what you needed to do to, be at your best so that you could support the rest of your family.
Right. So, thanks for, the condolences. And we were in touch, and you were one of the few people that reached out to me to wonder how I was doing mentally, which was dope. I tell people I don't have many friends, but the friends that I do have hit me up when I need them the most. And that's all I fucking need. And when I found out, it was, he went to the hospital due to COVID. I know a bunch of people don't fucking believe in it, whatever. And he was getting better. Then they found other complications on it. Mind you, I'm in Afghanistan this whole time. My sister's calling me crying, FaceTiming crying. And my mom rarely spoke to me during that time because she doesn't want me to worry while I'm here. I get it. And she's a very strong woman, and I guess she didn't want me to see her vulnerable. So then they had to amputate my father's leg, and they had to put him on dialysis. And then one day he just stopped breathing. So they asked me if I wanted to resuscitate him. So I said, fuck yeah, try again. Then my mom said, it's really hard on the body. It's a traumatic event. I was like, I don't care, try again. And that's one of the times that, you start praying and you only remember God when shit's hitting the fan and not when you need to. And if you don't believe in God, whomever you believe in. So it kind of took a step back, man. And I was like, okay, I've been doing all this work for myself. Now would be a great time to fucking relax. It sounds twisted to some, but I looked back. Whatever happens, happens to my father. I can't change anything. And if I get too emotional, I'm going to be a mess. And then that's going to make 4 of us a mess at home. Work was really good, man. They wanted to send me home the very next day. I was like, hey, he's still in the ventilator. He's still in a coma. Let me wait a little bit more because I can't see him. And at the time, man, someone told me, they were like, hey, you should go ahead and buy the cremation package for him now if you want to get him cremated because it's going to be cheaper. I was like, man, I don't want to. That's like killing my dad, But I think personal growth, man, and discipline, it's kind of what made me pull the trigger on that. And I went ahead and paid for it. 2 days later, he passed away, and I was home 3 days after that. I'm not going to lie. Those from the 15th to the 18th, I was a mess, man. I still had to work. I was crying in my room. Fuck, I didn't want to talk to many people. And, but those crying in those 3 days also made me realize, all right, man, you're about to hop on this plane home. Now it's when you show your true self. Now it's when you show that you can be human. You've already showed emotion, but you have to keep your shit together. You have to be disciplined. This is hard. Mm-hmm. This is when you either choose to go home and go out and drink, because I wanted to, or you go home. And the moment I hugged my mom, she started crying. The moment I saw my sisters, they started crying. They would grab my father's clothes, and we all went to his room, man. And I was like, oh. And then I started crying, but I would walk away because I would want them to see.
I'm tearing up right now, mate.
Yeah, I'm trying not to. And it's hard because then, seeing, to me, it was more of my mother's and my sisters. Pops and I always had that, hey, man, you need to be disciplined because if something happens to me, you got this shit. Mm-hmm. And seeing my mom, she wasn't really hysterical, but she was so sad. So she forgot to eat. She wouldn't sleep. Mm-hmm. She wouldn't even shower, man. My sister, same thing. So a few days went by. We're human, and we're all sitting down at the kitchen table. I'm like, hey, we have to eat. Let's go out and eat. We have to get a good night's sleep. Pop some melatonin if you need to. We have to do these things, but we also have to embrace the fact that he's gone. So are we going to remember him like this in a coma and him not waking up? Or are we going to remember the goofy self that this guy was, man? He helped a lot of people. He's a good dude. He saw his grandchildren grow up a little bit, up until they were 10 or so. Mm-hmm. He saw my sister get married. He saw all these things, man. My other sisters, they're all in a good place. So, yeah, it's really fucked up. But had I not had my mind right, had I not had my insecurities in check and being okay with them, had I not been mindful of what I'm thinking and how I'm thinking, I would have been right there with my mom and sisters. And, hugging them and having them cry obviously made me want to cry. I will shed a tear with them and stuff, but I had to understand that it's life, man. You know what? Maybe my mom's next. Maybe I don't wake up tomorrow. So I can't get mad at life. And I just was grateful. I was grateful for the experience. In a way, it made me realize that we take life too fucking serious sometimes, and you never know, man. My dad went into the hospital thinking he was going to wake the fuck up. Mm-hmm. And it was hard because I tell
as did everyone else.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It was like a precautionary thing, right?
Yep. And being your mind has your hands from lifting, you get calluses. I feel like the more life experiences you get calluses in your fucking mind. And it helped me embrace that, man. And I was so thankful, which is why I was telling you last time we spoke, man. I was like, dude, thank you. Because those small changes that I've made have made such a big impact that allowed me to be there for my family, man. It allowed me to not think twice. It's like, Mom, you haven't worked. I got you. I got your bills. I need you to grieve. You just lost your partner for 30 some plus years. You and my sisters need to breathe, but we can't forget ourselves because, we need to keep that in mind. And you don't realize how much you don't want to eat. Man, when my dad died, those first 2 days, I didn't want to eat. I didn't want to do anything. Right? It's just like, fuck it. My dad's gone. What am I going to do? You do mourn, you do sink, but this, man, had this journey in this past year was like from getting this job to working with you. It was like getting me ready to react for what comes next. In an ideal world, my parents will always be alive, whatever. But we're not, maybe I think it's a circle of life. You bury your parents. And it just shows that, man, if mental health is such an important thing, it's just as important as physical health. And
if not more, I believe, man. And I used to think that physical health was the most important thing, but the last probably 5-6 years, probably even longer, as I've been going through like my coaching journey, man, I've realized like the mental health is so fucking powerful, man. Like the mental health needs to be on point if you're going to improve your physical health and improve your quality of life. When I first started working with people, man, I did my PT course in 2012 when I was getting out of the army. Started my own business, went strength and conditioning, nutritional therapy, NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, etc. But when I first started, it was all about the training program, the nutrition. And then, I would blame my clients if they weren't getting the results that they wanted. Well, you're not doing this. You're not following the program, blah, blah, blah. And it got to a point where I was like, I need to fucking figure out why. I'm not serving these people. And if I'm blaming them, then, I'm not helping them.
Yeah.
What can I take responsibility for? I need to be accountable for that. They're fucking paying me for my expertise. And then, that kind of bred this upfront, dry, straight down the line, method that I'm using now, which obviously comes from being in the military and having that rank structure and, the need to be able to fucking tell the blokes either side of you the truth, without fear of repercussion. But, over time, I realized that how I was talking to my clients and how they were talking to themselves was more important than the training program and the nutrition plan, because I could figure out where someone was at and how they were going to move through our coaching program together,
right?
By how they spoke, man, and the words that they used and how they, how their mind worked. And that was fucking powerful for me, man, to be able to look at those things and go, all right, this person, has low self-esteem and they have, all these other things, like lack of confidence and blah, blah, blah. All right, cool. What's some tools that I can use? And then I started using psychology and behavioral therapy to start talking to them in a manner that could reframe, how they spoke to themselves, so that they could set themselves up for little wins throughout the day, man. They were ticking the boxes, little wins, little wins, little wins, because those little wins are achievements, and achievements are in my mind, man, like that's that personal growth, and achievement is the meaning of life in my mind, so, I want you to talk about some of those things, that you started implementing. And, again, we spoke earlier about progressive overload, but, I don't say to you, hey dude, you're sleeping 4 hours a night. I need you to sleep 8 hours a night. Okay, cool. You're sleeping 4 hours a night. I need you to get 4.5 hours. Do that for 2 weeks, then get 5 hours. Do that for 2 weeks, blah, 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 blah. Talk to me about, those tools that we've implemented, but also how you've tweaked them, how you've used progressive overload, how you've adjusted them to your life, not just overall, but how you might change them day to day depending on what's going on.
Yeah. Well, when we started working, man, I always thought I was a relatively healthy person, and my sleep pattern was always jacked up. I would not have consistent sleep, and then the little questions were, and a lot of these things you see on Instagram, right? Everybody on Instagram is a freaking genius. There's so many people out there just copying and pasting, but you do run into real recognizes real. So when you go, hey, are there any lights in your room? I don't know. Let me check. Oh, fuck. Yeah, I have a bunch of little lights in my room. Hey, is the TV on where you're trying to lay down? Yeah, man, how is? Hey, when was the last time you ate before you try to go to sleep? What are you doing? What's your sleep hygiene like? I was like, fuck. Well, I was in the army. I didn't have sleeping hygiene, bro. You just sleep. You can sleep in a tank. You can sleep on the street. You can sleep anywhere.
You'd sleep wherever, bro.
Yeah, just grab your Kevlar, put it behind you, rack out for a few hours. And you never think about sleeping hygiene, especially when you're drunk or pilled out, because you just go to bed. You wake up like, oh, I just got a little hangover, some Pedialyte. Now I have a career that I enjoy, that I love, and it allows me to live a lifestyle that I like. So I do have to think about my sleeping habits. I do have to think about my thoughts. So I started doing that. I was like, okay, before bed, let me shut this shit off. The lights, I even have right here on this freaking AC, a light covering up the little number because that hits me in the face when I'm trying to go to bed. And believe it or not, that helped. And, you know, I did go from 4 hours to about 5.5. And I was like, okay, maybe I was just tired because I was just training. Then I went from 5.5 to freaking 7. I'm like, well, goddamn. Then 8. And then the jet lag hit. And I was telling you, I'm like, bro, this jet lag has me fucked up. I cannot. Nope. I go to sleep at 2 p.m., wake up, blah, 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 blah. This is
when you flew home?
And when I flew home and now when I came back. So there's levels to this shit, right? You just suck it up and stay awake and go to sleep at night. No, wrong. You were like, hey, this is how the body works. This is how your body works at night. This is why you feel this way.
Circadian rhythm.
My dumbass was trying to work out hard to get tired to sleep at night. You're like, no, do the opposite, bro. Your body's adjusting. Your body can't, do this. Go for a light jog or don't go for a jog at all. Stretch. Do this, do that.
Mm-hmm.
This time here, I've been back for 11 days, I think. And I did that. I'm going to go for a low, nice, long jog, slow. My running here, it's my shit. I like running. So I started asking you, hey, my time for running needs to be this. My time for running needs to be that. You're like, well, it all ties down to sleep, man. If I'm not well rested, I'm not performing well. Now that I've been well rested, now that I know that the jet lag is real, that this 9.5 hours is at least going to take me, 9 days, 10 days, because my body needs to, because my hormone, everything. You don't think that way when you're just an average person. You want to stay awake.
Yeah, for people. Yeah, for people listening, I'll dive into that in a little bit of detail. I've spoken about it numerous times, but for any new listeners, your body has essentially a clock. The body clock is circadian rhythm. So, evolutionary speaking, our circadian rhythm releases different hormones at different times of the day to essentially, make us do shit. So in the morning, our body starts releasing cortisol, adrenaline, light hits our eyes, and that produces physiological effects in the body that, essentially get us to start changing our hormone profile. Then as we get towards sundown, then the same thing happens. The body starts kind of going into a parasympathetic state where it should do. Light stops hitting our eyes, et cetera, which then changes our hormone profile to get us ready for bed. But in the world that we live in, we have all these fucking artificial lights that are shining in our eyes all the time. And blue light in particular from the light spectrum reduces the production of melatonin, which allows you to get to sleep. Now, that's something that we've spoken about numerous times was, reducing your light once the sun goes down, dimming the lights, maybe even wearing blue light blocking glasses to reduce that blue light load. But also with jet lag, the reason jet lag occurs is because you go from, what's the difference between where you're at now and home? Like 9 hours, 9.5 hours?
9.5 hours, yeah.
Yeah, so when you go from different time zones, when you move from across different time zones, for every hour of time difference, there's roughly a day that your body needs to adjust. So if it's 9 hours time difference, then your body is going to need 9 days roughly to readjust its circadian rhythm and get everything back in line so that you're waking up, producing adrenaline, cortisol to get up. Evolutionary speaking, seek out shelter, search for food and water, right? But then when the sun goes down, your body starts producing different hormones, change your hormone profiles so that you can go into a parasympathetic state, rest and digest, recover overnight so you can get up and fucking do those things you need to survive again the next day.
Yeah, and you don't think about it when you're in my side of the coin. You're just the dude going to work, and I got to work, and then you wonder why I feel this way until you talk to someone that fucking knows, and they explain all this with big words, and then also dumbing it down for me to understand. I'm like, oh shit, that makes sense, bro, and it makes sense.
Hey, bro, I need to dumb it down so I can understand it.
Shit, what does that make me? So then I implement it now, and I'm doing that thing, man. And my runtime is better than ever. I love my runtime. My runtime has to go down drastically, but it's not simply because I'm sleeping. It's simply because I feel like I've learned to tie down every little bit of bad stuff that's happened to what I've learned working with you, to what I've learned reading, to what I've learned listening to audiobooks, to what I learned, you know, putting in that time. Because before I would just come here and play 12 hours of Call of Duty. Easy money, man. We're getting paid to do nothing. Go to the gym and that's it. Now it's more, I still game a whole lot, but my priorities are different. You know, it's, that my sleep pattern, my eating, am I hydrated? Am I thinking straight? Am I thinking proper thoughts? How am I feeling when I wake up, man? I would never think about that shit. Now I just wake up and like, oh, what a beautiful fucking day, man. Let's go. I'm a little Keurig machine, make my coffee, put a little honey in it. Boom. Good to go.
Yeah.
It's a perspective. Yeah. It opens up your eyes on how you're living fucking life. And again, man, we work with the people from Nepal, the Gurkhas, and they're beautiful beings, bro. They're such hardworking dudes. And you learn to treat everybody the same. You learn to treat everybody with the same energy, with the same respect. And, those people see you running, and then sometimes you just see them little motherfuckers running too. And it's cool, man, because you see this shit it's like contagious, you know? You don't have to be, what's the dude's CrossFit, Rich Froning or anything. You don't have to be any of these dudes that are like beasts. But you can be healthy, you can be fit, and you can feel good by just implementing little by little. And you can still be a healthy-ass person, man. So it's good to accept. that was my big thing. My big takeaway from everything has been, it's been good to, one, accept life lessons, stop blaming other people, worked on my insecurities, worked on my flaws, and realizing that there's a lot of shit that I don't know, man.
That's fucking powerful, man.
There's so much, bro. When we talk, I'm like, fuck, dude, I thought I knew that. But you put me over here, shit hits the fan, man. I could be in my truck ready to go in fucking 3 minutes or less. You know what I mean? I could. But that's not life.
Learning how to switch on, switch off.
Exactly. That's not life. When I'm home, I'm good, man. I'm chilling. I'm relaxed. I've learned how to do that, though. I've learned how to do that. I'm still learning, which is why I love this, the asking questions, man. I'm learning. Even in people from different cultures. Ramadan starts April 13th. You know, we have to learn how to adapt. We're in their country. I'm a foreigner here. I'm not a presence of force, and I can't act like an asshole. You know, even though I'm the security element, even though we have, you know, whatever, I still have to be respectful. I still have to be polite. But, you know, when you're a young guy, you're in your early teens, early 20s, you don't give a fuck. You don't think about any of that. You know?
We've all been there.
Yeah, exactly. Your mind's elsewhere. You think you know. To hit our age, and you're like, damn. That's the saying that everybody has. I could go back with what I know now. My life would be totally different. But I'm good where I'm at, man. I'm glad I seeked out. I'm glad I reached out. I'm glad we never lost touch. Even with the people at Tiger, man, I talk to a few once in a while, and it's cool because I see where their life is at, man. If they seem happy, but even though they seem happy, I also understand that they've also had shit days. So I'm 100% content with this wild fucking journey from getting blown up, shot at, and being a cop and running after people and fucking, to now, which I'm in the same element as I was. It's just a lot more calm, you know. We're not during conflict all the time, or rarely any conflict, to be honest with you. The job just sounds good on paper, but it is an important role. So,
but there's, the thing with that is, like, yes, you might not be fucking in, you know, troops in contact every day, but there's always the potential for that to happen. So you always need to be on high alert. You need to be fucking ready for when the shit does hit the fan, because that's where issues start coming in, is where people get complacent and they're like, oh, well, this is just how it is. It's a pretty cruisy job, blah, blah, blah. And yes, it might be cruisy at times, but there's going to be some stage where you need to be able to fucking switch that warrior mindset on.
Exactly. You got to learn how to, you can't be that guy all the time. You know, nobody wants to be around the guy that lives in his past and talks about, oh, when I used to be in the army. Cool story, bro. it's good to seek help, man. Like I said, dude, being here, working here, having this talk with you, it's crazy because I always implement what I learn, man. I've gotten to the point where I'm in a field that requires me to be humble. I'm in a field that doesn't require me to be an arrogant asshole. And this teaches you that. How you treat yourself, what you do with you. Are you disciplined enough to put your phone away for a few hours a day? Are you disciplined enough to eat what's right for you most of the time? That's how you treat you, man. That's what people say, self-love, self-care, that bullshit. You got to show that. It's easy to say I love you. It's hard to show that shit. So once you show it,
that's a great point, man. People say self-love, self-care. I fucking give myself whatever I want. And I was like, that's not self-love. That's not self-care. That's self-indulgence. Yeah. You know, self-love, self-care is fucking like restricting the things that are fucking easy and giving yourself a little bit of adversity every now and again, whether it's through training or whether it's through fasting or whether it's through digital detoxes or removing, you know, those fucking nice, comfortable things in your life for a period of time so that when you do start using those things again, you fucking appreciate it and you're grateful for it. That is self-love. That is self-care in my mind.
Bro, 100%. I don't know if you've heard of certain like military guys who are like, oh, I go to bed at fucking 9 p.m. and I wake up at 3 a.m. because I have to be up before the enemy. Personally, I don't agree with that shit because I feel like we're losing that human touch, right? Like you said, it's okay, man. Sometimes you gotta sleep in. Just fucking sleep in, man. Your body needs that. You need to feel human. And most people think that when we do things like not have our phones, making ourselves uncomfortable is by going on long runs, going on hard lifts, going on a hard workout, going to jiu-jitsu class, going to a boxing class, going to a Muay Thai class. That's when I was at Tiger, man. I was fighting. I wanted to see what I was about. You know what I mean? Like I'm about to throw down with somebody that wants to throw down with you, and it fucking humbles you, bro. You know, it shows you you could be anything, but you're no one. So if you choose to do good and learn and ask other people about their life experiences and what they've been through, I'm sure you love playing rugby, but it's a good fucking push to let all that shit out. You know what I mean? When you grab some fucking dude and boom, smash him. It's that good
100%,
feeling,
man.
bro,
and that's a controlled, and like you said, man, like you know, jiu-jitsu, martial arts. For me, it's rugby, and I've taken up BJJ recently as well in the last 6 months, and dude, like I'm fucking loving it, man, because it allows me to channel my natural aggression and competitiveness, which increases my testosterone levels, you know, so, and keeps everything balanced. So, I think that's important for people, particularly men, man, to understand that, you know, we need to be competitive with certain things. Sometimes we need to be competitive with other people in that kind of combat or contact environment. But we also need to be competitive with ourselves at times. But again, it's at times. It's about applying that tool at the appropriate time. We can't be competitive with others and competitive with ourselves all the fucking time. We need to pick and choose when we go into those battles. Otherwise, you just fucking burn the candle at both ends and burn yourself out.
100%, bro. I think when you compete, especially these guys at Tiger, you know, or all over the world, people that dedicate themselves to martial arts, mixed martial arts, whatever it is that they do for a living as a profession, or when it comes to sports, man, these guys have a different chip, you know. They know, they all believe, they have it deep in their mind that they're going to make it, you know, but the hard reality of it is a lot of them don't. And you could see sometimes the difference between the guys that make it and the guys that don't. Look at, you know, your client Peter, you know. That kid was wild when he was in Tiger, man. He was dangerous. You could see that different
Peter
type
Yan.
of, you could see that mentality, man. And you could see even the Hickman brothers, bro. I talk to George and Frank sometimes, and they're awesome dudes to get from. And you see them now. I think Frank's in the States, and you see how it's their craft, man. It's not a hobby. It's not I did this for a few months, so I'm going to call myself a fighter. These guys live that, breathe that. That's their comfort zone. So for them to be uncomfortable, it'll have to be something totally different. But these guys that fight, the guys that you coach, the guys that are in this environment, they're a different beast, man. a whole different, mentally, they're different. And they're the ones that learn, also have to learn the other aspect of life, which is comfort. It's okay to not train one day. It's okay to enjoy nice things one day. But a lot of them just want to grind because they want to make it so bad. So where do you draw the line with these guys? You know what I mean? Like, hey, rest, bro. You need to rest. Take it easy today.
Yeah, dude, that's like literally been my job as a coach. Like with Peter Yan, as you said, like, I've trained him, I think 5 of his UFC fights, and since he signed his first contract and made his debut, and normally I only have him for like 4, 6, 8 weeks during fight camp when he's in Thailand. And my job, man, yes, my job is to make him, stronger, faster, more explosive, build his engine so that he has the endurance to be able to fight his fight. But, if I'm not managing his stress levels and his workload and his recovery so that I can get the most out of him in that training session, then, there's potential for injury. There's potential for burnout, because all of the other coaches, he's working with the Hickman brothers. He's working with George on his MMA. He's working with Frankie with his wrestling. He's working with Alex for his BJJ. He's working with Johnny on his striking, and he's working with me for his strength and conditioning. Right. So he's got all these coaches that are fucking subject matter experts in their own fields, right? But all of these other coaches are fucking pushing him to the limits, man. They're hammering him. So he gets to me and he's dragging his heels, his head's down. I can see that he's fucking tired, man, but he's not going to show any weakness. He wants to get after it. And I'm like, I just go through some assessments, some balance-based assessments. And I'm like, all right, cool. I can see that he's a little bit fatigued today. I'll take his blood pressure. I'll take his heart rate variability. I see what his readiness level is, and I can see how much stress he's under. And then I'll tweak and adjust the training session. I'm still going to get him to work hard. I'm going to do enough to elicit the response that I want, but not so much that I'm now taking away from his ability to perform in all of his other sessions with his other coaches, man. Because if he does too much and I do too much and he can't fucking hold his hands up in sparring, he's getting punched in the face by other dudes, or, he's practicing poor technique because he's really tired, then that's going to carry over to the cage. So my job, for the most part, is to pull him back, man, and manage that recovery and make sure that he fucking, we do enough to elicit the right response, but, he doesn't pick up any injuries. He's able to recover. He's able to manage his energy levels so he can get the most out of every one of his training sessions.
And if you were just a guy that, this is why I enjoy the, sleep, time management and all that thing. You know what I mean? If you were just a trainer that would want to get your client tired or whatever, you just push through. The importance of recovery, man, and the mental health aspect of, I'm sure, like the fight game that these guys have to go through, to them fighting, if they're willing to die there, it's just like to us being over here, man. Hey, man, shit hits the fan. You want to fucking play? Let's go, son. This is what I get paid to do. I'm ready. Same thing for them. The moment that they're training so hard for maybe 1 round or 5 rounds. So they have to have that switch. But they also have to know how to relax. They also have to know how to listen to their body. And a lot of it comes from good coaching, good mentoring. For them to understand as a person, what I had to do with all this shit, man, is it made me realize, like we said earlier, when my father passed, I said, man, how fucked up would it have been if I was not ready? I wasn't ready to lose my dad, obviously, but mentally, if I was in a different state, how messed up would that be? And so it gives a whole different perspective on where your mental health is before you could perform physically. Before you can do just the minimal act of being a human.
And there we have it, part 2 of my 2.5 hour conversation with my man Damian Gilbert for the Client Corner. If you enjoy the conversation and you took something away from this and you believe your friends and family can also benefit, make sure you pass it off to them. If you listen to this and you enjoy the conversation, please make sure you post it to your stories and tag both of us. Both of our links will be in the show notes. Any 5-star ratings and reviews are much appreciated, guys. Much love. Peace.